In the final rock beats lesson, we're going to play some more uncommon type of drum beats. And by uncommon, I mean we're going to remove the snare drum from a lot of the back beats, so the counts 2 and counts 4. And we're going to just play something a little bit different. Now, hopefully this inspires you to think a little bit outside the box if you're ever playing rock music with a band. You don't always need to hit the snare in counts 2 and 4. Especially in a verse of a song, you can really kind of change it up just to add a little bit of more creativity and dynamics that way. So let's take a look at exercise 1. So exercise 1, we have a bass drum hit on count 1 and the and of 1. And then on the of 1, we have a snare hit. Okay? Then we have a bass drum hit on counts 3 and then a snare hit on the e of 4, and a bass drum hit on the and of 4. Now, there's nothing on counts 2 other than the hi-hat playing for 2 counts. And so really play this one slowly. You could even, again, tap it out on your legs. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and. Okay, let's play it at slow and a fast tempo. Number 2 is very different because we don't even have a bass drum on the count 1. And be surprised at how much this stuff actually happens. And that's what I was saying about hidden techniques. Because you might find that I'm never going to play count 2 in a band that I'm playing with, but you might play a song that doesn't have a bass drum on count 1. Right? And so that's where some of these techniques really come into play, and it's really important that you learn this and you really understand how these grooves are built. Okay, so there's no bass drum on count 1. There's a bass drum on the E of 1 and the and of 1. And then it's a snare hit on the and of 2. Okay, so no snare shot on count 2. And then count 3, we have a bass drum, a snare, and then a bass drum. Okay, so 3 E and 3 E and And then on count 4, we have 4 E and Okay, so it might sound confusing, but again, tap it on your legs, listen to how I'm playing it, and then go ahead and try to get nice and slow. Here we go. Number 3 is a very unique groove because we don't even really have any kind of front-end accent. You know, normally when you build beats, you'll have a snare shot on count 2 and a snare shot on count 4. Or you'll have a snare shot on the of 1 and then 4. But there's 2 distinct places where the snare is being hit and it's very pronounced. Here I've added snare hits on the E of 2 and the and of 2, but they're not really meant to be really loud. They're more meant to be played as ghost notes or just very, very soft. And you can play them loud if you want, but the groove won't sound as good if you do it that way. And so, again, let's just play it on the legs. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Okay, so as you can see, you can practice anywhere. You can be watching this video on the bus and practicing it because, yeah, this beats, it's just a matter of independence. And from there, you know, we're focusing on what we're playing, but eventually you can now focus on the dynamics when you get to your drum set. Rather than focusing on what you're playing, you could actually do something a little bit more useful. Okay, so number 3 at both slow and fast tempos. number 4 is going to be a groove in halftime. Now, by halftime, I mean we're basically cutting the amount of snare hits per bar in half. So that puts the snare shot on count 3. So only one really pronounced accent or backbeat on count 3. And everything else stays the same. You don't cut everything in half, but you'll notice how much this changes the feel of the music. If you were to play a full-time groove to a halftime groove, it sounds very different. You're playing boom, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1. Cut the snares in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now cut the snares in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, so take some time, get used to how it sounds going from full-time to halftime, and then try out this groove. It's a very, very cool groove to play. Here we go. Now this is another groove that's super, super fun. And these types of grooves I really learned when I went through a book called Realistic Rock by Carmen Appice. Great book to learn rock music. And he taught a lot of these kind of grooves with a lot of the syncopated snare and between bass drum. It's almost like you're playing rudiments between your bass drum and your left hand, and then the hi-hat's just, chugging along with eighth notes. But it's awesome to develop your independence. And so just, again, slow, let's do it on the legs. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and... Okay, so lots of syncopation and independence with that left hand. Let's try it out. And that brings us to the end of all these rock beats. Now, before you move on to the song is obviously kind of the reward of the most fun part, because you have this new massive vocabulary of drum beats, and you might not think it's massive. You're like, it's only 20. It's unbelievably massive when you look at all the variations that you could use. But once you have learned the slow version of each of these drum grooves, so learn it at 60 beats per minute, you can play it for 2 minutes straight, then go ahead and move on to the song and have some fun with it. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching the 4th lesson in my Drumeo Edge course on rock beats. If you'd like to see the next lesson, just go ahead and click that button right over there. Now, if you want some more courses and lessons, play-alongs, and just be part of an amazing community, I highly recommend you check out Drumeo.com. We'd love to have you a part of our community, and I think you're really, really going to love it. So just go to Drumeo.com for more info. See you there.